Alright, so now we're going to be going over the transverse section of the spinal cord. Alright, in the illustration down here, that center hole is the central canal, and that's where the cerebrospinal fluid will be flowing. Up here, this is our posterior sulcus. This is our anterior fissure. Notice it's wider and a little deeper. Now here, we can also see the dorsal or posterior horn. There's the transverse or lateral horn, and this is the anterior or ventral horn. Now for the white matter, we call that funiculus or funiculi. So up here again, this would be the dorsal or posterior funiculi. Here's the lateral funiculi and the anterior funiculi. Now let's go up to the model. Alright, so here we can see a spinal nerve. And remember, spinal nerves are going to carry both sensory and motor. This large bulbous structure is called the dorsal root ganglion, which remember is the cell body. Now, notice we don't have one over here. We just have one here. So this is like a landmark for you. If you can remember that this little bulby structure is the dorsal root ganglion, then we now know that everything on this side is going to be sensory and dorsal and posterior. So this is my sensory, which is traveling down the dorsal root, and there's my dorsal root ganglion, and then that will come up and use the dorsal or posterior horn, and then it heads on up the spinal cord. Now from here you can also see the lateral gray horn, and this is the anterior gray horn. That will then transfer the motor signal out the ventral root, which will then merge into the spinal nerve and head on out. Now for the funiculi, which is the white matter, we can see the posterior funiculi, the lateral funiculi, and the anterior or ventral funiculi.